I know that was a lot of things, but the ways to replace them are connected with each other. In order to properly get rid of religions possessing these kinds of qualities, one would need other things to regulate humans, human society and the world, to keep people within a certain zone or behaviors and lifestyles that are sustainable. Like when it comes to laws and regulation, for example, instead of just making them, one should have a system where people can learn the motivations and reason behind different laws and why they exist in the first place. One can also make studies and present the results of the effect of having them compared to not, thus giving people a logical reason for why it's a good thing to have it instead of just telling them to do it. A good tip to do with children as well, by the way, to simply explain why certain things are good and bad, makes it much easier to get them to listen. As for loneliness, you can simply replace that with that of other communities. I guess, people are more connected than ever and people can easily communicate anonymously or under an alias. Otherwise, one can simply also try to use artificial evolution to remove the need in humans for things like friends. I guess. Regarding the need for help and assistance, is it so that we're constantly moving towards a future where society and other communities and organizations take care of people in need? Even though it's far from perfect, things are moving towards that direction by itself. Regarding things like worship and spiritual practices, things become a bit more tricky, due to people generally not having any idea what all those weird practices do or why exactly people practice them. It's very difficult to say. Well, using scientific means anyway. Regarding creating a stable society with order in the world and making all humans choose peace with each other instead of war, is something that is actually possible using more scientific means. For those who are well aware of how seemingly addicted humans are to conflict and war, this claim might seem preposterous. But please, let me explain. To find a way to get rid of conflict from humans, one can simply look at situations in nature where this works naturally, because there are already large groups in different species that live without conflict. Hive and colony type creatures like ants and bees, for example, or at least the workers. They don't have internal conflicts in their communities. By our understanding of evolution and natural selection, we know that if we were to recreate those conditions for humans, we would stop having conflicts with each other if we simply evolved enough in that kind of environment. Yes, it's really that simple. Anyway, so, what makes them live peacefully? The individuals we're talking about are of course the workers, beings that don't produce offspring themselves but have a queen that has drones, males, which it mates with. All the workers do is take care of the offspring outside of that. Of course the drones have conflicts or a competition to get to mate with the queen, so in order to completely eliminate that we would need to have something else instead of humans taking that role. So humans would need to invent, commercialize and integrate reproductive technology that could and does completely take the role of reproduction in a human society and make natural reproduction obsolete. In order to properly mimic that system, it can't be that personal families produce their own children or be on the scale of cities, states or even countries, but that humanity has a single, worldwide system and that all humans are reproduced that way. We can't have any people that's reproduced naturally either in that case. Then adding that with artificial evolution of all humans would, by default, make all of humanity end up in the position and environment of the worker bees and ants, and that have no reason for internal conflict. Doing that would also end this greed problem, as humans would by default become biologically hardwired to share their resources and work together. Exploitation of other people and laziness could probably disappear as well. Not only that, but humans should also become much more productive as well, like those creatures. Even though I didn't mention that earlier, but just as an added bonus, it could potentially make religious laws obsolete by default and remove the need for it to bring law and order. It would also remove the need for those other morals saying that you should be a good citizen and protect your home, because humans will with that system adapt the same mindset as those workers. I probably missed some, but that should be the most of them. But even if we solve those things, there's still one more thing to worry about, and that is those other religious practices that aren't for the sake of obeying laws and being a good citizen and things like that. All from dealing with all kinds of mental illnesses and all kinds of stuff that science can't currently make out what their purpose even is to begin with, like people doing all kinds of new age stuff, Scientology, you name it. When a certain other religion left certain Western countries, even yoga is based on so-called spiritual practices. It's very interesting to see that even when religion disappears, people are obsessed with supernatural stuff in all sorts of fictional works, people having strange experiences and things happening to them. There's just something that doesn't add up here. There are simply certain things people do and practice that have certain benefits we can't properly identify in a scientific setting. Yet, there are countless people today and throughout history making such claims, and while it is most likely not due to some kind of higher supernatural power involved, there are different studies showing that certain religious and spiritual practices have positive benefits on people. With the discovery of quantum mechanics, and there may very well be forces, although not supernatural but rather natural, that we don't know about, and already known ones, working in the bodies of people in very complex ways that we are yet to discover or comprehend. It honestly shouldn't be a surprise that humans may possess the ability to do certain things outside of mainstream science, and that humans have simply evolved to use and take advantage of these, and that they, just like quantum mechanics, can't be proven or noticed except with very advanced and precise technology under very specific conditions. That certain so-called spiritual practices take advantage of these in ways science doesn't yet understand. I know such a view might not be very popular, and especially so for you if you watch this video. But when you think about it, there just must be some reason why people are doing these kinds of things and why they're so unwilling to let them go. Again, absolutely not claiming they're supernatural, but just phenomena that we haven't been able to detect in a scientific manner yet, and that living beings are able to manipulate. Just wanted to mention that. The only thing one can really do about that is furthering scientific knowledge, technological development and treatments and ways to improve people's life by scientific means. Unless there really is some truly supernatural thing or power out there we cannot control, humanity should one day be able to get to the bottom of all of it and be able to completely replace religion with scientific methods. It already has done a lot, as we can see with the rise of things like atheism in modern times. People, again, wouldn't become atheists for no reason, and no, it's not just because they suddenly figured out that religions don't match the scientific model. Atheists existed before science became mainstream. By making studies and studying the human body with our ever-improving technology that try to break these kinds of practices down, slow but steady real progress is made day by day. But it's not the pseudo-change that is claimed by overly progressive people these days. A lot more work is necessary. So, these are some of the things that make taking away religion so difficult, and especially that people are dumb enough to believe that scientifically disproving religion is enough when so many people are converted to religion without actually believing in them in the first place. This isn't to say that people shouldn't combat the arguments made by religious people, but that it's simply not enough to make them go away. The points I've mentioned aren't all of them, but enough to at least give a general picture of what's going on behind the scenes and why religions are still around in the 21st century. Even if one does like it is in China, a country where religion and religious activities are forcefully removed, society can take a really bad turn for the worse. It serves as a practical example of what happens when people who don't understand religion or what fundamental purpose it serves, forcefully remove it. Just like doing brain surgery with a chainsaw, it won't end well. As a general tip to all people when it comes to all things in life, don't be an amateur who messes with things in this world beyond your understanding without knowing what you're doing. But as described above, if someone who actually understands these things properly changes society in a sensible manner, religion and many other problematic things, with all their issues, can go away. As we can also clearly see that religions have many times been updated, changed and transformed to properly fit the needs and requirements of the age it's in. It clearly shows that they are things that have an expiration date. It's not a question of if they will disappear, but when.